Okay, so the daily thing fell apart. Listen, on the one hand, I feel like I always knew I wasn't going to manage to do it every day. But on the other, I felt that way when I did Me Made May. And then I did do every day. So I was like, I don't know, man, maybe I'll surprise myself. Fortunately, somebody in the comments of my first video suggested that I just do every even numbered day since I also missed January 1st. So that's my new goal. I mentioned that I wanted to do a lot of 2025 media kind of wrap up stuff. And I thought that since tomorrow, Friday, January 9th, is Nonfiction Book Club live stream, it would be fun to do just a 2025 nonfiction book club wrap up. So this is in order all of the books that we read for Nonfiction Book Club. I'm just gonna have them here, and maybe I should move this stuff. Oh no. Ooh, a bracelet. This is usually where I sit and read my nonfiction book club books. So this is what I'm writing with, and some tabs. Deboki had the first pick of the year, and it was Cue the Sun by Emily Nussbaum. I think this was our first repeat author. Yeah, I am pretty sure that this is our first and only repeat author. This is kind of making me think that I should change my pick for next month to Evel Ewing's new book so that I too can have a repeat author. This book is essentially a reality TV history book. I feel like with nonfiction book club books, the table of contents is usually a great reference point for a summary of the book. So it's divided into 3 sections. And so you have a really big first section, Spaghetti Against the Wall, which is just really broad 1947 to 1989. So it's a lot of things that would become reality TV as we know it today. There's a few very specific kinds of documentary and game show things in that 40-year period that contribute to the contemporary reality TV era. Then you have the Rev Up 1990 to 2000. So you have the Real World and Survivor and Big Brother and a lot of those things coming on the scene. The third section is Cue the Sun 2001 to 2007-ish. And that's reality TV blows up, The Bachelor and Joe Millionaire and Bravo, The Apprentice, and the end of reality TV Innocence. I really enjoyed this. I think that there are places where she could have made stronger arguments. I think that this book is very much a history. I think about her first book, I Like to Watch, which is an essay collection where every essay is making some sort of argument. And I think that the one thing that I would have wanted from this book is for it to make more of a declarative statement. I think that anybody with any real interest in pop culture would love and enjoy this. Even if you're not a reality TV person per se, I think that if you are a big pop culture person, you would enjoy this. And I definitely think that it's worth reading if you're big on reality TV. Next up was my pick, Mood Machine, which I actually cited in a video in addition to the live stream that we did about this book. Mood Machine, The Rise of Spotify and the Costs of the Perfect Playlist by Liz Pelly is in a relatively short space of time talking about how Spotify came to be, both the origins of the company itself and then kind of the broader internet ecosystem that was existing around it, and then charting how Spotify and again kind of that broader ecosystem has changed music, and I think also art and creativity, and also our brains maybe. Of all the books that we read this year, I feel pretty confident that this is the one that I thought about the most. It's definitely got the most tabs, if that's the marker of my engagement with the book. I feel really strongly that anybody who is online enough to be watching this video right now should read this book. It just deals with the internet and culture and the ways in which our need to make everything easy is actually making the world worse. I think that's my simple summary of this book, and I highly recommend it. This 5 stars. And from high highs to low lows, our next book was Empire Incorporated: The Corporations That Built British Colonialism by Philip J. Stern. I actually love that we read this book, mostly because Deboki has far fewer misses than I do. I take wilder swings. This feels like a book I would have chosen just because it's so fucking random. I didn't mean for Deboki to be catching strays in this video, but that really is meant at me. This one was a miss in a way that feels much more on brand for me and my picks. And so it really truly is just a relief to me that Deboki can also pick a disappointing book. It's not just me. I really do need to emphasize that her batting average is much much higher than mine. I don't know what to tell you about this book because I did not fucking understand it. It's like a history book across 4 centuries from Ireland to India, the Americas to Africa and Australia. British colonialism was above all the business of corporations. Corporations conceived, promoted, financed, and governed overseas expansion, making claims over territory and peoples while ensuring that British and colonial society were invested quite literally in their ventures. So this is like literally about like corporations. There's just a lot of really dense definitions of corporate entities and like how definitions shifted from one thing being a corporate entity to something else in ways that, like, I don't know. I don't know who I would recommend this book to be honest. Not me. Next. I gloated a little soon because my pick after that was actually also a bust. Your Brain on Art, How the Arts Transform Us by Susan Maximin, and Ivy Ross. This book was fine. I think that I wanted it to be more science-y than it was. It's very vibey. This book is about how art, like painting and drawing and making music and all of those things, are important to our lives. I can't quite tell who the target audience of this book is because I don't know that this would be super compelling to people who don't already believe that. But as somebody who does, as somebody who already is like bought into the central idea here that like art is good for us, I wanted like a deep dive into why and how, and this definitely wasn't that. I don't know. It was fine. I gave this 2 or 3 stars. I'm not going to look up what my star ratings were. And then we have Deboki's pick, Infinite Life by Jules Howard, the revolutionary story of eggs, evolution, and life on Earth. And if you love and care about eggs, then you should read this book. This one was really funny because Deboki loved this because she does really love and care about eggs. And I didn't hate this. It was really well written. It's just very niche and specific in the thing that it is doing. It's about eggs. It's about like the science of how, I don't know, all the science of eggs. How eggs? Why eggs? Those are the core questions of this little book, and the writing is very accessible. I learned a lot. It's fun. I think that if you read a lot of pop science in general, you might enjoy this, and if you care a lot about eggs, then you should read this book. This was like a 3-star read for me, I think. And then I picked So Many Stars, An Oral History of Trans, Non-Binary, Genderqueer, and Two-Spirit People of Color by Caro de Robertis. And I loved this. This is another one high on my list. I really enjoyed this. I'm trying to remember the structural issue that we had with this. Not in like this like breaks the book, but I remember a big part of our conversation being that there's something about this that is a little bit confusing. Oh. It is partially because of the audiobook, because like there's a single audiobook narrator, but the whole book is in these like sections of different speakers, and like just the transitions from speaker to speaker are a little bit weird in the audiobook. It's definitely something that like begs to have a cast. I think that's the one big note that we had about this, is that it would have benefited from some sort of intro to all the people that are in the book. I understand why it is the way that it is, because we're like learning about all of these people in thematic ways. But there are a lot of people and they're all sort of like talking at once. And I think it would have been helpful to have had a little bit more grounding in who each of these people are. That one small criticism aside, I think this was incredible. I was really genuinely surprised by how hopeful it manages to be, even during some of the heavier and darker parts of the book. This book was clearly put together with so much love. And that like radiates from every page in a way that I really, really enjoyed. So this was 5 stars. And then we had Gwyneth, the biography by Amy Odell. And this book has the special distinction of being quite possibly the book that inspired the most existential dread. Mood Machine's a contender, but Gwyneth caught me off guard with how much existential dread it inspired in me, I think. This book is exactly what it says. It's a biography of Gwyneth Paltrow, and Gwyneth Paltrow was apparently really pissy about it being made. She had, I don't know, her publicist or somebody on her behalf put out a statement about how nonsensical it is that this book was ever written. She's a genuinely fascinating person to like have a biography written about. I do have a big criticism of this one as well, which is that I wanted more about all of the damage that Goop has done. Just like more about how harmful goop has been to the world in like the broader misinformation landscape. I've been yapping too much, so my camera just turned off in the middle of talking about this book, but it was fine. 3 stars. I would recommend this if you're a big pop culture person or if you like a celebrity biography. That's what this is. And our last book of the year was Ruin Their Crops on the Ground. And I'm realizing now that we had actually a more disappointing reading year than I thought. I feel like that's my big takeaway right now. It didn't feel like a bad year for nonfiction book club, but I didn't really love most of these books in the way that I have loved a lot of our other books. So I feel like I have to step up my game as a book chooser next year because I am usually the problem. Anyway, Ruin Their Crops on the Ground, The Politics of Food in the United States from the Trail of Tears to School Lunch by Andrea Freeman. This book is about how food is political in the United States and some policies and actions that the US government has taken to that effect. I just think that it misses the mark a little bit in terms of making a cohesive argument. And I can't entirely tell who this book is for. There have definitely been some nonfiction book club books where I finish them and I'm like, oh, this is maybe not quite for me. Like this is like an intro conversation and I'm over here, or like this is like an advanced conversation that I I'm not ready for yet. And this doesn't feel like either one of those things. Someone in the nonfiction book club Discord, Caitlin, I think, said something about how this book felt like entering a conversation in the middle. It's missing both some kind of foundational setup stuff for the point that it's trying to make, and then quite frankly some stuff at the end to actually lock down and complete the making of that point. A relatively short book. It's not a hard read. I think that if you are already interested in the idea that food is political, that is a thing that you already believe, but you're not super steeped in the literature about it, it's a worthwhile read. I think I just wanted it to be a little bit more than it was. This was a 3-star read for me. And that's it. That's everything we read in 2025 for a nonfiction book club. I'm going to close this video out with a little best and worst. So my least favorite nonfiction book club book of the year was Empire Incorporated, The Corporations That Built British Colonialism by Philip J. Stern. Sorry to that man. And then my favorite nonfiction book club book of the year was Mood Machine, The Rise of Spotify and the Cost of the Perfect Playlist by Liz Pelly. This book, I think about it all the time. And I might reread it. I gotta check in on all my tabs. Anyway, you should come hang out with us tomorrow, Friday, January 9th on Deboki's channel as we discuss Bad Company, Private Equity, and the Death of the American Dream. I actually read this in December because it was going to be our December book club book and life got crazy, so we pushed it to January. So I actually am reading this twice. I finished it in December and then I've been listening to it again this week while working on a little embroidery project. So hopefully I'm ready to have so many thoughts. I guess that's a small spoiler for our conversation in that I liked it enough to reread it. I obviously didn't hate it. If you're interested in any of these books but don't feel like I gave you quite enough information to know if you want to check them out, you can watch our live streams. We have a full hour-long discussion of every book that I have mentioned here except for this one, which we're doing tomorrow. And find out then what my pick is going to be for our February nonfiction book club book. This is not all of the nonfiction that I read last year. This is just what I read for nonfiction book club, but I would love to hear about what you read. So please let me know in the comments what your favorite nonfiction book of 2025 was. I was going to say, especially if it's not one of these, but actually either way, if it's one of these, that's really awesome. but I also would love to know if you have some other nonfiction book that you would like to recommend to me. Actually, yeah, honestly, just from listening to me talk about these, if there's one that you read not last year, but that you're like, oh, it sounds like you would totally love this, tell me about that too. Okay, I'll be back again in 2 days, probably with a video that I recorded on Sunday. All of this is made up, so bye.